Hey guys, it is April from Getting Hooga With It. Today I wanted to talk to you about books with likable characters in them. I know some people need likable characters to really dive into a book and enjoy it thoroughly, so I thought I would recommend some books that I personally thought were jam-packed with likable characters. So let's jump right in. The first book I want to talk to you about is Come Thou Tortoise. Now this book is not incredibly well known, and I wish it was because it's a beautiful, beautiful novel. It follows a girl called Audrey Flowers, and she has to go home because her father has been killed. He's been hit in the head with a Christmas tree and he's died, and so she has to go home and be with her very lovable uncle. And she also goes home to kind of figure out what's happened to her father. She thinks that there's a bit of a puzzle and a mystery there. This story is told from the perspective of Audrey, who has a low IQ, and she is just, I think, one of the most lovable characters I've ever met in my whole life. It's also told from the perspective of her pet tortoise named Winifred. All I have to say is prepare to fall in love with Winifred. She is such a wonderful little creature. I don't know what it is about this book, but I could not help but root for Audrey and, of course, little Winifred throughout this whole thing. So if you're looking for likable characters, look no further. The next book I wanted to talk to you about was 84 Charing Cross Road. This is a nonfiction book. It follows the author's correspondence with a little tiny bookshop in England. She lives in New York City and she's trying to find these rare books, and this little bookshop in, I think it was London, but it's somewhere in England, they kind of specialize in that. So it's just their correspondence back and forth. At first it starts out with just books and trying to find the right book for this woman, and it slowly but surely turns into much more of a friendship, which was so lovely. You can't help but smile when you're reading this book. It's a very, very tiny little book. I think it's like 100 pages, so you could totally read this in one sitting. If you're having a bad day, pick up 84 Charing Cross Road and you'll feel a lot better. The next book I wanted to talk to you about is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I love this book, and the reason that I love this book is for the characters. But this follows a group of people. Some of them are aliens, some of them are humans. So it follows this group of characters, and they are on a ship called the Wayfarer. And essentially what they do for a living is they punch holes in the universe to make like a shorter trip for other spaceships. So they punch holes in the universe, make little tunnels, and not a ton happens in this book, but you connect with these characters so much. Some of these characters have gone through really difficult times in their personal lives. Others are in the midst of a really difficult time in their life. The way that this little group bands together is so refreshing and so nice to read. I'm currently reading the follow-up to this, which is A Closed and Common Orbit, and it's got the same feeling. You're following completely different characters, mostly, but I'm already loving the characters, and I think I'm 30 pages in. Next, I wanted to talk to you about The Book Thief. I love The Book Thief. This follows a little girl named Liesel in World War II Germany. She moves in with a foster family, and she's trying to make her way through this crazy, strange world of World War II Nazi Germany. And books come to save the day, and there are so many characters in here that I just fell in love with. Liesel herself is a completely lovable character. Her foster father is another character who you completely fall in love with. And then she meets people along the way who are going through depression, or they just seem a little bit guarded, and then they slowly open up their hearts to Liesel, and you're just rooting for everyone in this book. I loved this book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I don't think I've ever cared more about a group of characters and what happens to this group of characters than I did with The Book Thief. It's beautiful. Luckily, it's something like 500 pages, so you can stay with these characters a little longer. The Martian is another book with a cast of wonderful, likable characters. Now, Mark Watney is stuck on Mars. He and this crew have gone to Mars, and a sandstorm comes in. They think that Mark Watney has died, and so they leave him there. And then you find out, no, he's still alive. You're following him as he tries to survive. So he's luckily the biologist of the group, so you follow him trying to make potatoes and trying to figure out ways that this guy can survive until the next mission comes to Mars. Now, Mark is hilarious. I think one of the first words he says is a swear word. He's super crass. He's so funny. The fact that he can find any sort of humor at all in this horrible situation, you're like stuck on Mars, you're probably gonna die. But he's able to find some humor in it. He's incredibly smart, and all of the people on his crew are also really lovable characters. The people trying to save Mark are also really great people. I loved this book so much, and I was so happy to spend that much time with Mark in his crazy situation. Finally, I needed to tell you about The Boston Girl. This is a growing up novel about Addie Baum, and it follows her life, and I think it starts in like 1915, and then it follows her growing up. She is such a sweet girl, and you get to see her relationships with other girls develop, her friendships. Eventually, you get to follow her meeting the love of her life. Now, Addie doesn't have it completely easily. She has a mother that she doesn't really get along with. Things happen in her life that could really send a lot of people into a major depression. She's always able to pick herself up and look at life with rose-colored glasses, and I just fell in love with this character. So those are the books with some really likable characters. I hope that you pick one of these up if you haven't already. Do you have any suggestions for books with likable characters? Because it's not an absolute necessity for me to enjoy a book. Sometimes I really do like a villain, and I don't mind following a kind of diabolical mindset. But I do really enjoy it when I can at least connect with one character, and I don't think I'm alone in that. Comment below, and I will see you next time. Bye!